Good morning, boys and girls. I hope you're ready to hear another Saints of the Eucharist story. Today is about a pope who became one of the saints of the Eucharist. He's called the Pope of Little Children. This is the story. "Oh, Father, thank you for these new shoes," cried Beppo. It was Beppo's first new pair of shoes in 12 years. No wonder he was so happy. "I shall always take good care of them," thought Beppo, "and they will last longer if I carry them to school. I can put them on when I get there. No one will know that I walked to school barefoot." And so it was. On warm days, little Beppo would often be seen walking the 4 miles to school carrying his shoes. Beppo Sarto came from a very poor but very happy family. Because he was the oldest child, he had many jobs to do. He had to take care of his brothers and sisters. He had to help his mother with the housework. His father, too, needed his help on the farm. But the little boy was never cross because of all the work he had to do. He loved it. He loved to help. And everyone loved Beppo. He was always very cheerful and kind and happy. Each morning, Beppo started the day right by going to Mass. "Oh, how could I ever live through the day without going to Mass first?" thought Beppo. "It brings me so many graces." Beppo loved to visit the little Mary shrines on his way to church every day. Often one could hear him whisper this prayer: "Dear Mother of God, I love you. Please, please help me be a priest someday. I wish to bring all people and all things to Jesus, your Son. I know he would be happy, so please, please help me, dear Mary." Day by day, Beppo's love for Mary grew. When it was time to go to bed, he never forgot to say his rosary. He would kneel with his father and mother in prayer and beg Mary to bless the whole world. As his brothers and sisters grew older, they too joined in the family rosary. Now Beppo was growing up. He had to study much harder, but he loved to study. Soon he became the best in his class, and later Beppo became an altar boy. He did so well in serving at the altar that he was chosen to take care of all the other altar boys. Little Beppo loved the Mass so much that he even made an altar at home, and here he was often found playing priest. He tried to say Mass just as the parish priest did. His little brothers and sisters would come to his Mass. But how carefully they watched and prayed. Beppo would try to sing like the priest too. Everyone loved to hear him sing because Beppo had a beautiful voice. Like many other girls and boys of long ago, Beppo had to wait a long time for his first communion. Sometimes he would joke with the other children, saying, "When I am Pope someday, I will change that rule. I will allow children to receive Jesus even when they are very young. Jesus will make them strong and keep them pure and holy." Then he would run away laughing at his funny thoughts. Little Beppo did dream that someday God would really make him a pope, the Pope of little children. Soon Beppo went to study to become a priest. The people of his town helped to pay for all that he needed. They knew how poor the family was. Even when Beppo was dying, he said, "I was born poor, I have lived poor, and I wish to die poor." Back to the story. The big day came. Now Beppo was a priest. How happy his family and friends were. Now he could really try to bring all things and all people to Christ. Now he was called Father Sarto. He loved to teach little children about God. He loved to prepare them for First Holy Communion. He would often say, "What pleases me most is to see people coming to receive Jesus. If only little children could come too. Jesus wants to come to them to make them strong and pure and holy. He wants them to get to heaven." Teaching the people about God was dearest to Father Sarto's heart, but there was one thing the good priest did not like, and that was bad singing in the church. "No, beautiful music helps people to pray," he often told other priests. "We must have only that kind of music in our churches." Later on, he wrote a letter to all the Catholic people about the beautiful church music that should be played. Everyone loved Father Sarto. They loved him most for his kindness and goodness. Little children loved him most of all because they knew he was very close to God. Often they would follow him around. They knew his pockets were filled with many surprises. surprises that were good to eat. Many years passed by, and soon Father Sarto became a bishop. Not long after that, he was made Pope. He cried when he got the news because he did not think he was holy enough. Beppo chose the name Pope Pius X. Now he was the ruler of the whole Catholic Church. His joking of long ago turned out to be the real thing. Pope Pius X, called the Holy Father now, did not forget his little children either. He remembered how they liked surprises, and one day he gave them the best surprise of all. He gave them Jesus. Little Beppo, as Pope Pius X, had changed the rule. Jesus loves little children, the Holy Father wrote to all the Catholic people. He wishes to come into their hearts when they are still young. As soon as children are old enough to know that it is Jesus who comes to them in the Blessed Sacrament, they may receive Holy Communion. Once, while talking to his dear people, he said, "Holy Communion is the easiest and shortest way to heaven." We can now see why Beppo was given the name the Pope of the Eucharist, or the Pope of little children. Soon, boys and girls all over the world were receiving Jesus in Holy Communion when they were only 7 years old or so. How happy they all were! One day, a man brought his little son to see the Pope. "Dear Holy Father, my son heard the good news about receiving Holy Communion. He wishes to receive his first Holy Communion, Father, Pope Pius, but he is only 4 years old." The Holy Father picked up the little boy and put him on his lap. "Let's see what you know, little one." The Pope asked him, "Who comes to you in Holy Communion?" "Why, it's Jesus," the boy began quickly. "And who is Jesus?" the Holy Father asked again. "He's God, and I love him," said the little boy. The Pope turned to the little boy's father and said, "Your little boy is old enough to receive Holy Communion. Bring your little boy to my Mass tomorrow morning. I myself will give him his first Holy Communion. He is ready." Pope Pius X did a great many holy things. Even while he was alive, God let him work some miracles. One of these miracles happened when a little boy came to see the Pope. This little boy could not hear. All the doctors said he would never hear because there were holes in his eardrums. "My little boy cannot hear at all, dear Holy Father, so will you please bless him?" the sad mother asked Pope Pius X. "I know it would make him happy." The Pope was very happy to bless that little boy, but then something wonderful happened. The little boy ran to his mother, shouting, "Oh, mother, mother, I can hear what the Holy Father is saying. I can hear." The boy's mother took him back to the doctors. The doctors looked in his ears. There were still holes in his eardrums, and yet the boy could hear. It was a miracle. No doctor could ever make him hear. At another time, a father carried his little son to the Pope. His boy had never walked or stood up in his whole life. He was this way since he was born. The poor father wanted Pope Pius X to help his boy. "Let me hold your little son," asked the Pope as he looked at the boy. "I will pray to God to help him." After a short time, the boy asked the Pope to let him down. He began to run around the room, crying out, "Oh, thank you, dear Holy Father." Everyone in the world heard about this miracle too. Now Pope Pius X is called Saint Pope Pius X. He is the favorite of little children. We must be so thankful to him for changing the rule for First Holy Communion. So boys and girls, this happened only about 120 years ago. And that's not very long since, Jesus was born 2020 years ago. So we should be so thankful that you can also receive your First Holy Communion at the age of 7 or 8 years old. And you know how Pius X would love to pray and help and love others and help out at home when he was little? We can imitate him in that way too. We can always pray with our family, we can help our family, we can love our family, and we can teach others about how beautiful it is and how special a gift it is to receive Jesus in the Holy Eucharist. Tomorrow we'll read another story of Saints of the Eucharist. It was so good to see you today, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of the day and I miss you, and God bless you. Bye-bye.